My name is Harper Bennett, and I was 32 years old when I learned that the people who raised you can look you in the eye on Christmas morning and lie about being too broke to celebrate while actively planning the party you will never be invited to. The text came from my father, David Bennett, at 7:14 am on December 23rd. I was sitting in my Boston apartment with coffee going cold in my hand, already mentally preparing for the drive to Connecticut. The message was short, which should have been my first warning. Harper, bad news. We have to cancel Christmas this year. Money is extremely tight. Bills piling up. Everyone understands. Let's try for New Year's instead. I stared at those words until the screen dimmed. Money is tight. Bills piling up. Everyone understands. That last part bothered me more than it should have. Everyone understands. As if they had already discussed this with people. As if I was the last to know about my own family's Christmas. But I did what I had always done. I understood. I told myself not to make it about me. I texted back a simple okay, no problem. Let me know if you need anything. Then I unpacked the gifts I had already wrapped, the expensive wool scarf I had bought my mother, the noise-canceling headphones for my father, the camera lens my younger brother Ethan had mentioned wanting for months. I should have known better. My job as a fraud risk analyst at Sentinel Financial in Boston had trained me to notice patterns other people ignored. Repeated transactions. Sudden behavior changes. Stories that sounded reasonable until you checked the timeline. But when your family is the one telling the story, you want to believe them. You need to believe them. For 3 years, I had been sending money. Not because they begged, but because they made the problems sound urgent and the solutions sound temporary. My father's contracting business had slow months. My mother's medical co-pays kept climbing. Ethan's car needed repairs, then insurance, then another repair. Every request came with the unspoken promise that this was the last time, that next month would be better, that they just needed a little help getting through. I kept a private spreadsheet. Not because I wanted to track what they owed me, but because I needed to make sure I could still afford my own rent, my own life, my own future. The numbers climbed quietly. $800 here for property taxes, $1,200 there for my mother's dental work, $650 for Ethan's car payment because his hours had been cut, $2,400 when my father said the business account had been hit with an unexpected fee. By December 23rd, the total was $47,680. I had told myself I was helping. I had told myself this was what family did. I had told myself that being the one with a steady job and no children and no debt made me the obvious choice to carry some of their weight. On Christmas Eve, I made myself a simple dinner. Pasta with olive oil and garlic. A glass of wine I had been saving for a celebration that no longer existed. I put on an old holiday movie and tried not to look at my phone, tried not to imagine what my parents' house looked like without lights, without the tree my mother always insisted on decorating the weekend after Thanksgiving, without the noise and warmth I had grown up believing was non-negotiable. Then, at 8:47 p.m., my phone lit up with a notification. Instagram. Ethan had gone live. I almost ignored it. Ethan went live constantly, filming his meals, his gym routines, his thoughts on football games nobody had asked him to narrate. But something made me open it. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the same instinct that had kept me employed in a job that required me to find the truth people were trying to hide. The screen filled with my parents' living room. Not dark, not quiet, not canceled. The Christmas tree was there, taller than I remembered, covered in lights and ornaments and gold ribbon. The fireplace had garland draped across the mantel. There were people everywhere. My Aunt Linda, my Uncle Paul, cousins I had not seen since summer, neighbors from down the street, someone I vaguely recognized from my father's work crew. Music played in the background, not carols from a playlist, live music. A man with a guitar sitting near the window, playing something festive while people clapped along. The camera swung across the dining table. It was covered in food. A turkey. A glazed ham. Trays of appetizers. A cheese board that looked like something from a magazine. Wine bottles lined up near the window. Champagne glasses catching the light. My mother appeared on screen, laughing, holding a glass of something sparkling. She looked radiant. Not stressed. Not worried about bills. Not grieving the Christmas she had told me was impossible this year. Ethan's voice came through, loud and cheerful. Merry Christmas to everyone watching. Blessed to be surrounded by the people who actually show up. The people who actually show up. I watched for another 30 seconds. My father walked past the camera holding a plate, grinning. My Aunt Linda toasted someone off screen. A child I did not recognize ran through the frame wearing a red velvet dress. Then I closed the app. I set my phone face down on the couch. I did not scream. I did not cry. I did not call anyone. I just sat there while my pasta went cold and the movie played unwatched, and something inside me went very, very still. The next morning, Christmas Day, my father texted me at 9:52 a.m. Harper, I hate to ask, but can you send $3,200 today? Business account overdraft hit and the bank is charging fees. Need to cover it before Tuesday or we lose the line of credit. I stared at that message for a long time, not because I did not understand it, but because I finally understood everything. Before I tell you what I replied and why my phone had 54 missed calls by sunset, tell me something. Have you ever watched someone lie to your face and then ask you to pay for the consequences? Have you ever realized the people you were protecting had never once protected you? Stay with me. Because what happened next was not about revenge. It was about finally stopping payment on a debt I was never supposed to owe. The first thing I did was open my banking app. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I expected anger to make me shake. Instead, I felt calm in the way you feel calm when a long, confusing problem suddenly has a clear answer. I removed my card from the automatic payment set up for my father's business utility account. Then I removed it from my mother's pharmacy auto refill. Then I removed it from the family phone plan that somehow had my card saved as the primary payment method. Then I removed it from the shared warehouse club membership. Then I removed it from Ethan's car insurance that he had promised 6 months ago he would take over. Each time the app asked, "Are you sure you want to remove this payment method?" I pressed yes. Then I changed my passwords. Email, banking, Apple ID, Venmo, PayPal, the grocery delivery account my mother used. Every single login where someone in that house might have saved my information. I enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. I logged out every recognized device except my own phone and laptop. I turned off location sharing. I muted the family group chat. Then I created a folder on my phone and named it Evidence. Into it went screenshots of Ethan's Instagram live. Screenshots of my father's text asking for $3,200. Screenshots of the last 6 months of Venmo transfers. Screenshots of every message where someone had said the words, "just this once," or "I'll pay you back," or "we're family." I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet I had been keeping in a folder buried under tax documents. 3 years of payments, $47,680. I saved 3 copies, one on my hard drive, one in the cloud, one printed and placed in a manila folder in my desk drawer. Then I opened the text thread with my father and typed one sentence. Lose my number. I don't fund liars. I hit send before I could soften it. Then I blocked him. Then I blocked my mother. Then I blocked Ethan. Then I blocked my Aunt Linda because I knew within hours she would be calling on their behalf. It was 11:34 a.m. on Christmas Day. I made myself a second cup of coffee and sat in the quiet of my apartment. No music. No movie. Just silence. By 1 p.m., my phone had started lighting up with calls from unknown numbers. I let them all go to voicemail. By 3:00, there were text messages coming through from people I had not spoken to in years. Cousins. Old family friends, my father's business partner. At 4:17, a message came through on Facebook from my mother because apparently I had forgotten to block her there. Harper. Sweetheart, please call me. Your father is very upset. There has been a terrible misunderstanding. We need to talk about this like adults. I stared at the word misunderstanding. That was the word people used when they got caught, when the truth became inconvenient, when their version of events stopped matching the evidence. I took a screenshot of the message, added it to the evidence folder. Then I blocked her on Facebook too. At 5:52, someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw my Aunt Linda standing in the hallway, looking worried and determined. I did not open the door. I stood there silently until she knocked again, called my name twice, then finally left. At 7:08, my father left a voicemail. I did not listen to it right away. I let it sit there while I made dinner, while I ate, while I washed my dishes and folded laundry and did all the small, ordinary tasks that felt strange and grounding at the same time. Finally, at 9:30, I played the voicemail. His voice was tight, controlled. The voice he used when he was furious but trying to sound reasonable. Harper, I don't know what kind of childish game you think you are playing, but you have put this family in an impossible situation. Your mother is crying. Ethan's car insurance lapsed because you pulled your payment without warning. The business account is frozen because of the overdraft you refused to cover. I expect you to call me back tonight and fix this before it gets worse. I played it twice. Not because I needed to hear it again, but because I needed to be sure I heard what I thought I heard. He did not say he was sorry. He did not say there had been a misunderstanding about Christmas. He did not acknowledge the party I had seen on Instagram. He only said I had put this family in an impossible situation. As if the situation had not been impossible the moment they told me Christmas was canceled, and then threw a party without me. As if the situation had not been impossible when they asked me for $3,200 the morning after I watched them toast champagne on a live stream. I saved the voicemail, added it to the evidence folder. Then, I made one more decision. I called my friend Nora, an attorney I had met through work, someone who specialized in family financial disputes and exploitation cases. I sent her the spreadsheet, the screenshots, and a summary of what had happened. She called me back within an hour. Harper, she said carefully, what you are describing is financial abuse. It might not feel like abuse because it is your family, but that is exactly what it is. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say I had chosen to help them, that nobody had forced me, that calling it abuse felt too dramatic. But Nora kept talking. They conditioned you to believe their emergencies were your responsibility. They normalized taking from you while giving you nothing in return. And now that you have stopped, they are not apologizing. They are blaming you for the consequences of their choices. That is not family. That is exploitation. That word. Exploitation. It landed in a way I was not ready for. Nora walked me through next steps. Document everything. Stop all communication except in writing. If they tried to use shared accounts or old saved passwords, report it. If they contacted my workplace, document it. If they showed up at my apartment again, do not open the door. Then she said something I wrote down because I knew I would need to remember it later. Harper, love should not require you to bankrupt yourself emotionally or financially. What you are doing is not cruel. It is overdue. The fallout came in waves. By December 27th, Ethan's car insurance had lapsed. I knew because he posted on Instagram about how family will really leave you stranded when you need them most. Someone in the comments asked what happened. He deleted the post an hour later. By December 29th, my mother's pharmacy called her about the declined auto refill payment. She tried to call me from 3 different numbers. I did not answer any of them. By January 2nd, my father's business account overdraft had triggered additional fees. I knew because my Aunt Linda sent me an email saying my father might lose his line of credit and it would be my fault. I forwarded the email to Nora, then archived it. By January 5th, the family phone plan went into suspension because no one had updated the payment method. Ethan posted a vague story about toxic people who think money makes them better than everyone. I screenshotted it before he deleted it. By January 10th, my parents' house was listed for sale. I found out through a neighbor who sent me a message on LinkedIn. Saw your parents' house is on the market. Hope everything is okay. I looked up the listing. The photos were familiar. The same living room where I had seen the Christmas party on Instagram. The same kitchen where I used to sit at the counter doing homework while my mother cooked. The same fireplace with the mantel I had seen covered in garland just weeks earlier. The listing called it a charming family home in need of buyers ready to make it their own. I did not feel victorious. I felt sad in a distant, observational way, like watching a building burn down that you used to live in but had already moved out of years ago. My father sent one more message, this time from an email address I did not recognize. I hope you are proud of yourself. You have destroyed this family over a misunderstanding. Your mother has not stopped crying. Ethan lost his car insurance because of you. The house is being sold because you cut us off without warning. You were always selfish, but I never thought you would be cruel. I read it 3 times. Then I replied with one sentence. The cruelty was telling me Christmas was canceled, and then throwing a party without me. The misunderstanding is thinking I would keep paying for it. Then I blocked that email address too. By mid-January, my Aunt Linda stopped trying to contact me. By February, the Instagram messages from distant relatives had stopped. By March, the house had sold. I did not feel peace right away. Peace was not loud or obvious. It arrived quietly. In the mornings, when I checked my bank account and saw my balance growing instead of shrinking. In the evenings, when my phone did not buzz with requests disguised as emergencies. In the slow realization that I could plan a vacation, or buy new furniture, or save for something that mattered to me without wondering whose crisis would interrupt it. I started therapy in February, not because I was broken, but because I needed someone outside the situation to help me understand why I had allowed it to continue for so long. My therapist asked me once why I thought I was responsible for my family's financial stability. I did not have a good answer. I said something about being the one with the stable job, about not having children or a mortgage, about wanting to help. She asked me a different question. Did they ever help you? I thought about that for a long time. I thought about the times I had been sick and no one checked on me. The times I had achieved something at work and no one asked about it. The birthday they forgot because Ethan had a soccer game. The promotion I got that my mother responded to with, "That is nice, honey," before immediately asking if I could help with the electric bill. No, they had not helped me. They had used me. And when I stopped being useful, they did not mourn losing me. They mourned losing access to my money. I opened a new savings account in April and named it Peace. Every month, I transferred the amount I used to send to my family. By summer, it had grown into something that felt like possibility instead of obligation. I started hosting small financial literacy workshops for women in their 20s and 30s. Not because I wanted to be a teacher, but because I kept meeting people with the same exhausted look I used to see in my own mirror. People who did not know how to say no. People who had been taught that boundaries were selfish. I told them what I wish someone had told me. You do not owe anyone access to your bank account just because they are related to you. Helping someone should feel like a choice, not a sentence. And if removing financial support causes someone's life to collapse, the problem was never your support. The problem was the foundation they built on top of your silence. I did not spend Christmas alone that year. I spent it with 3 friends from work, people who had become the family I chose instead of the family I inherited. We made dinner together. We exchanged small gifts. We toasted with cheap wine and laughed about nothing important. My phone did not ring. My father did not text. My mother did not send a card. And for the first time in years, I felt the kind of peace that only comes when you stop waiting for people to love you the way you deserve and start building a life where you do not need them to. The truth I learned is this: some people will test how much you love them by seeing how much you will let them take. And when you finally close your hand, they will not ask why you are tired of giving. They will only ask why you stopped. Boundaries are not cruelty. Boundaries are the distance you need to protect what matters most. And sometimes, the family you were born into is not the family that will let you grow. I do not regret what I did. I regret how long it took me to do it. If you are reading this and recognizing yourself in my story, let me tell you something important. You are not responsible for funding other people's choices. You are not selfish for protecting your future. And love that only shows up when your wallet is open is not love. It is transaction. And you deserve better than being someone's emergency ATM with a heartbeat. If you were in Harper's position, would you have done the same thing? Or would you have given them one more chance? Let me know in the comments, because these conversations matter. And if this story helped you see something you needed to see, please share it. Someone else might need to hear that they are allowed to stop paying for their own exclusion.